All right, viewers. So today, heading off and starting off with our conversation, and obviously we're going to be speaking about what's going on with Caribbean Airlines. And joining us to give his perspective is the chairman of the Tobago division of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Mr. Curtis Williams. Good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
I'm pretty all right.
Nice to hear
And
you this
morning to all
morning.
viewers
So,
and listeners. Yeah.
so Mr. Williams, first of all, let me just get your initial take on this whole matter and what's been going on.
Well, Candice, just over the weekend, my phone kept ringing and I wanted to know what was really happening. So I journeyed down to the airport and I saw a couple of delays and stuff like that. And then suddenly I realized that there's some sort of action by the pilots, and that causes a disruption in the domestic arrangement. It seems like it spelled from the domestic and it went all international. So this effect of that disruption, I'm gone international, and it's not good for us. It's not good for the airline. It's not good for any one of us at all.
Now, we are also seeing, like, one of the complaints that came out was that, so Caribbean Airlines canceled all their flights yesterday, basically. Not all, but most of their flights yesterday. And for the people that were traveling between Trinidad and Tobago, they are being placed on the ferry. And there is this complaint, like, are we still going to get some refund because it costs $75 to travel on the ferry one way, but on the plane it's $200. But we haven't heard anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of press releases between yesterday and this morning.
Hmm.
Cal have released a lot of press releases
Yes.
indicating to the passengers as to directing them to the port to get across to Tobago and vice versa. Also, the THA Division of Tourism have released press release as well. But we're still waiting on the bigger picture. Can this thing is all boiled down to money, and as you can see, it's some sort of negotiation going on, and it all boils down to money. So we're hoping that the goodly Minister of Finance, maybe in the background somewhere along, he have to get involved in this because it all boils down to money and negotiation.
Yes, and as we're speaking about money, how much or what impact did it have yesterday and even going into today on the Tobago economy in terms of what the cancellations and so on? How did this impact us?
But Candice, it will definitely affect us in a massive way. We have visitors here for the Great Race that couldn't get back to Trinidad on time to conduct their normal business. You have visitors who have connecting flights to get out of Tobago, and for some strange reason or the other, they couldn't get that connection flight. The cost is going deep into the visitor pockets. We also have folks who need to go to do business in Trinidad, starting from this morning. And here you have a bit of delay again. We probably have to reschedule, etc., etc. Candice, it's not looking good, and we definitely want to let the government know it's not looking good. So someone have to come in and really get this thing going. We see battering about is a lot of now. I think probably there may be some court action or something of that sort, industrial court action. So Candice, it's a lot happening in this space, and we ask on the authorities to get their act together. Somebody wake up and just really get their act together, because this is not looking good for Tobago. It's really, really, really looking really terrible.
And additionally, Mr. Williams, even without the industrial action taken by the pilots, every day, every Monday morning, every Tuesday morning, we're hearing the complaints from our people about how difficult it is to get flights. And every July, August, this is a major complaint. You can't book tickets in not even in advance sometimes for the July, August period. And then we know how much we Tobagonians depend on just the need to be able to use the airline as a taxi, even though we have people in Trinidad, some of the authorities in Trinidad saying that we should not be using the airline as a taxi.
Well, Candice, I mean, getting to Port of Spain sometime to conduct business is maybe more efficient for us to use the airline, emergencies, etc. So, and the Airbridge is essential services between the two islands. So I think some emphasis is supposed to be placed on that. coming from the government perspective. We know for sure that the Port Authority came to the rescue of Cal and the Airbridge, and we want to applaud the port. I mean, we sprang into action. We get in touch with the port, and the port was more than willing to do whatever it takes to give the ease to the Tobagonians and the visitors here. And we want to say thanks to the port, and they continue up to this morning. The port is putting on additional sailings to help the folks come across and get back to Trinidad accordingly. So, I mean, the port doing their part. But what about the Airbridge? We really need to get this thing sorted out once and for all. And we know it definitely got to be an intervention of the Minister of Finance, because he's responsible solely for Cal, and it is a finance problem. It is a money problem.
Yes. And, what has the conversation been like at the level of the board of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce? Because I know that you have been in conversations with the Ministry of Finance to deal with this and other matters. But whenever you bring this up with the Minister of Finance, what is the response that you are getting?
Well, we spoke to Cal management briefly, and we can see some of the issues that they are faced with. But we longing to have that meeting with the Minister of Finance. I know he's the acting Prime Minister now, but we're longing to have that meeting with the Minister of Finance and the other stakeholders, so that we could really come and to one space and get this thing settled once and for all. Because, Kandace, this thing has been going on for generations. I mean, I've slept in the airport nights upon nights, trying to get flights to get back to Tobago. Kandace, this thing has been going on for decades. I'm talking about over 30, 40 years this thing has been going on. I mean, I study in Trinidad, and I'm telling you, back and forth, it is a nightmare. And we really need to get this thing fixed. So I appealing to all the stakeholders, the ministry, the THA, let's meet and get this thing settled out once and for all.
What do you think would be a good method or a good way for us in Tobago to get this message across? Because it's not just the business community, it's not just tourism, it's not just hoteliers, restaurateurs, it's everybody. It's students, it's people seeking medical attention, it's just people who just need to go and get a document signed in Trinidad. I mean, everybody is faced with this. So then what do you think we as a collective people can do to really get the message across?
But Kandace, and you're right, and it affects everyone, and I mean everyone. And we at the Chamber, we are trying our best to get the parties together. We know that coming out of the meetings with Cal in the past, it boils down to a finance issue, all right? And definitely so, it definitely goes back to the government. And if the government intervene, that's the only way we can get it done. So we as the business community, we are asking the other associations, the Hotel Association, the Taxi Drivers Association, the other associations that are on the island, let's come together and lobby the government to come and meet with us and discuss this problem once and for all.
I mean, and we're seeing here also that in the Chamber's budgetary advice to the government, because we know we have the national budget coming up in a month or two. And so you guys submitted your document as to what you would like to see coming out of this year's budget presentation. And amongst them, at the top of the list, I should say, for Tobago, is we need to treat the Airbridge. I mean, we had over 20 flights prior to COVID-19, and now we're still at 12 flights a day. And we're seeing here that you're saying that, we can't keep seeing the Airbridge as an economic service because the Trinidad and Tobago, because it's more than just economy, it's a necessity. And I wanted to speak to the fact that this Airbridge problem, what impact is it having in our tourism? And I really want you to share some details as to why it's so important.
Kandace, is very important. So we have international arrivals, and we ask for that desk in Trinidad to bring those folks across to Tobago. Kandace, if you're coming in based on the flight you landed in Port of Spain, you can get that connecting flight across to Tobago. and that poses a huge problem for a visitor. And so these are the things that we want Caribbean Airline and the other stakeholders to look at, the influencers, those who can make the thing change. And because we've seen that smooth connection is not there to bring international visitors. Even us trying to get to Trinidad at certain times, you know you want to make a day run, so you may go down in the morning and do whatever business you have to do, and you want to get back, and you got to be at the airport at a certain time. And again, if we have some more flights, a little later flights, it will accommodate us and the visitors who come in across the island. And again, all of this have an effect on our accommodation. And so the visitor may say, I can't bother, I'm not going across to Tobago. Let me stay in Trinidad, or just let me don't travel at all, because you're home, what part of the world you are, and you're trying to book your flight, and you're trying to get a seamless travel as
Yes.
possible. You don't want to be in one area and have to be waiting on standby. And Kandace, you're on vacation with your family. You really don't want that. You want to stay where you are and book everything seamless. And we don't have that seamless connection between the two islands for some strange reason. And hence the reason why we are asking the government, because Carl reports to you, and you are the major shareholder, you are their shareholder, and you need to have some input into what's going on. I know Carl again will say it all will boil back to money, and again we're going back to the Minister of Finance. So it's important that we lobby the government in getting these things done. It's really, really, really important. And we ask the other associations, the other bodies to come together, and let's have a one meeting that we could tell the government this is the situation and we need to fix it.
Have you guys been able to quantify what is being lost as we continue to struggle with the air bridge? How much money does Tobago lose, whether it's local domestic dollars or even foreign revenue that comes from potential international arrivals into Trinidad who may want to come to Tobago but are discouraged because of the fact that they can't get a ticket?
And you're correct. And so we are asking, we're reaching out to our partners at the Hotel Association to assist us in the process of putting together some figures on the impact of this whole Cal debacle. And because, Kandace, I know today we will still have the issue going on,
Yes.
getting flights across to Trinidad and international flights. I know that Cal did lease an aircraft to assist in moving folks. We saw that update coming in very late last night. And so we know for a fact that something is being done on CalPan, but Cal hands are tied, seems like, because they will need some input from the Minister of Finance, because it's all about money. And and that's the problem that we face with.
Do you think that the Minister of Finance is trying to stymie the growth of Tobago by not allowing or not empowering Caribbean Airlines to properly service the air bridge?
I wouldn't put it like that. Maybe he needs to understand how it affects us directly. And if we want to give the minister and the ministry the opportunity and Carl to hear our issues, and then we can now make a judgment call after exposing our issues to them. So we are asking all the various associations if we can come together in one space so that at least Carl and the Minister of Finance and his team could understand what's happening in the space, and the THA, we want the THA to be part of it as well, and so that all parties could come to one sort of understanding as to how we can really do something about this issue that we face with. Because it's not looking good. Candice, we are losing thousands of dollars a day in business. And as you indicated, if we can quantify it, we will see how it is. Given the island a bad taste, all those visitors came across for Great Race, can't get back. Some saying that I'm not coming back there again. It's not looking good at all, Candice.
But it can be argued that the Minister of Finance, Mr. Com Imbert, has been in that position as a minister for over 7 years, 7 or 8 years. And, we had the problems in 2017, for which he presided over, with the issues with when the Sea Bridge had their concerns, which very much affected the business community in Tobago. And in some ways, the business community in Tobago is still recovering from those issues because it hasn't gotten a chance to breathe and all of that. But I mean, it could be argued that he had enough time. He had enough time to try to understand why us in Tobago are so dependent on an effective working Airbridge and Sea Bridge.
And Candice, you're sure you're right about that. I mean, what we see the goalpost moves, and the goalpost kept moving. We definitely need to get up to speed with what's happening. I mean, definitely we see with the Port Authority with the fast ferries, and I mean it really done us well. I mean, because if it wasn't for these vessels, I don't know what would have happened in a situation like this. We would have been cut off. Tobago would have been isolated to a point. So thanks that the Port Authority did come in and really assist us there. But I'm still asking the Ministry of Finance and the Minister to have dialogue with us. We need to have pertinent dialogue so that we could really get down to the roots of this thing, what's really happening on the ground. And that meeting, we could also have the representative of the THA in that meeting so we all could understand what's really happening and come to some common ground. It's time we come to some common ground as to what's happening. And we want to send that invitation out to the Ministry of Finance and the Minister so that we could have that kind of dialogue as soon as possible.
All right, Mr. Curtis Williams. Well, viewers, we are not quite done with our conversation yet, but we have to take a quick break. So please don't go anywhere. And we'll be back with Mr. Williams to discuss these and other matters within our space.
Waiting for CXC results and wondering what's next? Or maybe you're looking to switch careers. Learn a skill to jumpstart your career at the NESC Technical Institute. Get qualified for jobs in the energy and industrial sectors, or even start your own business. Choose from automotive, electrical, instrumentation, drilling, welding, fabrication, AC refrigeration, IT networking, and more. NESC diplomas are gate approved. Classes begin in September. Visit nesc.edu.tt to apply.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show. And everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show. And everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable. Full disclosure with the executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates. Real questions and honest conversations with the sole aim of keeping you fully in the know. Full disclosure with the executive every Thursday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Updates.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Exhale Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
It's a different type of thing down here. Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are continuing our conversation this morning with Mr. Curtis Williams, who is the chairman of the Tobago Division of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Now, Mr. Williams, we have Carnival scheduled, Tobago Carnival scheduled for the end of October. Now, and we are not seeing any relief to the Airbridge problems, at least not in the immediate future. How will this affect the ability for us to attract enough people to the Tobago Carnival celebrations for it to be something that would bring in enough profit, whether it is the band leaders, the promoters, the business community, the hoteliers, and so on?
Kandace, you see the reason why we want to have the meeting? It's because it's important that we see these events coming up. Next week is Independence, the following week, and then we see the Tobago Carnival coming up. And we don't want something, because it might look like if anytime Tobago is having prime activities that we have disruption in the Airbridge. And we don't want to say that. But if we can put things in place, the Port Authority and CAL, to ensure that we have a smooth display for the Tobago Carnival in terms of getting folks across to Tobago, because we know for sure that if something like this do happen throughout that period, it will really set us back. It will make us look really, really, really bad. So we are asking, we are appealing now. Kandace now is in August. We are appealing now to let the various parties sort out all the issues, so we have a free and exciting carnival period coming up. So we are asking, and no one can say we didn't ask. So if it do happen, we know something is wrong.
And what is the interest right now for Tobago Carnival? Like the frustrations of the Airbridge aside, what is the interest at this point in time?
Kandace, we all await that period of time. It's we have a lot of economic activity will happen among that time. We will have a rise in the arrivals. We will definitely have visitors on the island. We have the band leaders. We have all the players, the masqueraders, the business folks, all the vendors, the side vendors. Kandace, that period has been a good time for us from what we experienced last year. So this year, we know it's going to be a bit bumper. It will be much better, bigger, better. And hence the reason why we are asking upon the different stakeholders, including THE. Let's get to that point where we can have seamless travel between the two islands for that period, because it's important that we have a smooth travel between the island on that period that's happening coming up in Carnival time.
And certainly, especially for Carnival, that's when we definitely need some later flights. I mean, I remember when we used to have that late 12-something flight for, if you have to spend some time in Trinidad and come back, or even, with flights and so on. And we know the excuse that Caribbean Airlines has been given is they're saying that, it's a cost for to keep the airport open and so on. But the THA offered to fund the cost of keeping the airport open. Is this something that the chamber supports?
Yeah, definitely. It's a cost to keep the airport open, but the airport could be open and no flights. So it all comes to CAL. And who is the owner of CAL? Who's the shareholder? Who's the majority shareholder? Who's the owner? The government. And CAL will look at the balance sheet. CAL will look at the numbers, and CAL will say, okay, because this is not profit making for us, probably we might be able to go to that direction. The only one can instrument, the only person who is instrumental in getting this thing done, Kandace, is the Minister of Finance. He is the main man in the picture here, and he definitely have to sit with his people and come up with some sort of plan, and CAL have to make that recommendation. We will say what we have to say on our side, and then CAL will make the recommendation, and then it will all, as I said, it all boils down to money. Yeah. And if the Minister of Finance don't get involved, we know it ain't gonna solve.
Yes, but the conversation continues to come back to the issue that, the minister does know the situation, because time and time again, people in Tobago have complained. Many people, many stakeholders have explained this situation to him, but it seems as though none of it has resonated enough for him to do anything other than increase the fares to Tobago.
Well, Candice, we're going to give him this opportunity. We, the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce Tobago Division, and my team will give the Minister of Finance, the CAL board, the CAL management, and the THA and the other stakeholders this opportunity to let's fix this once and for all. Candice, if it don't work out, then we know what we have to do in time to come. But we are giving all stakeholders the opportunity to have a conversation with us because it's important. It is very much important. So we asked him to have a conversation with us.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to go to a few matters that the Chamber raised in their budgetary request for this year. And one of it is to treat with some of the taxes that we have in the tourism industry. Like, for instance, the 10% room tax. And what you all are saying is that it should not go into the consolidated fund. It should go towards marketing, training, and support of the industry. Because unfortunately, pretty much all the revenue that's collected in Trinidad and Tobago goes into one pot and then gets divided out instead of, for instance, the taxes that come out of the tourism industry going back into tourism efforts.
And you're correct, because we were asking for some of that funds to go towards the marketing of the island. Tobago is under market, and there are folks out there who haven't heard of the island, and marketing is very, very much important. We are coming to the winter season, and then we definitely, we want to be there. We want to be there as a market or destination of choice. And in order to do that, we need to put some more funds into our marketing strategy as we move forward. And so we're asking if that 10%, that room tax, some of it can go towards that marketing in some meaningful way. I mean, Candice, among all the conversation, those are some of the things we will definitely be having with the Minister of Finance if he do come to that meeting where we can sit and discuss a couple of things that are affecting us greatly on the island. So hence the reason why we asked for that urgent meeting with him and the ministry.
Well, one of the last times that, or one of the times in recent years that the Minister of Finance was able to sit down with several stakeholders from Tobago, it was either 2017 or 2018. It was around the time that the Sea Bridge was having its issues. One of the commitments that Minister Airbridge made was to treat with a land license issue, and he made a commitment to treat with it out of priority because it has been something that the chamber has been asking for over a decade. But 6 years later, we have not seen anything in where that is concerned.
Candice, there are lots of commitments that we get from politicians, and they just don't live up to it. But it's up to us as the business community and other associations to hold these people accountable for their word. Yes, you mentioned the last time we had a meeting of that sort was I think at one of the hotels that the Prime Minister assembled a couple of his cabinet ministers to meet with stakeholders. And we are asking, I know the Prime Minister is out the country, but he must tune in. We are asking him if we can do something of that nature, because right at this stage, Candice, we need some assistance. We need the central government inside. We need money to be given to Tobago. There's a lot of need, and we definitely cannot continue on this path that we're going, Candice, because it's not going to be a really nice path. It will be a very, very rough path for us as a business community.
And as these situations continue, how would this affect foreign direct investments?
Well, definitely it would have an effect. I know for a fact that the chief mentioned that he was looking forward to investors coming in the island. And I think from a Facebook post, I see that Trevor James, the secretary, and the chief sec is in New York at the Tobago festival there. Probably at that that time they may choose the opportunity to see how they can speak to some of their diaspora investors if they're willing to come back to Tobago and do some sort of investment. That would be great, because Kandace, we really need the investment, the foreign direct investment. We really, really need it.
Mhm. And then, as we're talking about that, we're also, you also mentioned in your budget request the idea to expand the port to allow more cruise ships. We saw that the THA, the Division of Infrastructure Works and Infrastructure Quarries and Urban Development, presented a plan, or presented the final report of the Scarborough redevelopment plan that would encompass the expansion of the cruise ship terminal and to allow more vessels to dock and so on. And do you think that they would be able to attract the foreign investors needed to be able to fund this plan? And have you seen this plan yourself to comment on it?
Candice, the opportunity was there for us to look at it. Now we see the final, and again, and this plan is a mega project, and we will need all the players to be involved in it. It's not just going to be the THA. Definitely, we need some input from the central government. We will need TNTech. We will need WASA on board. We will need all the utilities. We may need the Port Authority. Candice, this is a mega project, and the THA can't do it alone because we belong to Trinidad and Tobago. So we will need these other state agencies somewhere or the other being involved in this project. So hence the reason why it's important that the THA lobby with the central government to get this project on the way. Yes, we know the investors may be there, but again, you will still need central government approval in certain areas. So, Candice, I think we're tired fight. We no longer want to fight. What we want is solutions now. We won't need an action plan, and we need solutions. We need to fix what's going on in Tobago, and the fighting gets us nowhere. As we can see, we're going nowhere. So we need to sit as big people, reasonable thinking people, and come to some solutions going forward.
All right, Mr. Williams. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we will continue with our conversations this morning. So viewers, please don't go anywhere.
Tapicom. Welcome to the future. The only card you will need in a new world. Digital business cards. Safe, hassle-free. The future is here. Tapicom. New generation digital transfer. Digital time clock cards. Digital attendance cards. Air tags. Customized designs. Digital clothing tags. Digital pet tags. Tapicom. The future is here. Contact us today.
Are you flood ready? Monitor trusted sources for info. Wear protective gear when you clean up. Contact your insurance provider to assess the damage. An initiative to help people prevent, prepare, recover. TATIL, where people are people.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes for breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti served with chokers, bull joil and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Yeah,
Tobago updates.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are continuing our conversations this morning with the chairman of the Tobago division of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Mr. Curtis Williams, and our focus is on the problems that we are facing on the airbridge. Because even though there was the pilot sick out yesterday, that is just a drop in the bucket towards the problems that we face daily on the airbridge. That was in a way an isolated incident, but the truth is that every day we face problems on the airbridge to the point where we're seeing now from the Trinidad Guardian a report that says that one person is saying that they've been coming to Tobago quite often and the travel keeps getting worse and worse. You can't book ferry tickets in advance. You can't book plane tickets in advance. And, so they're thinking, they don't want to go through this again. And Mr. Williams, how should we react to something like this in Tobago? How should us as Tobagonians, the business community, or just regular Tobagonians react to this?
Kandace, and this is reality. We both live here and we understand what's happening in this space. We have those problems as well. There's standby, there's no flights, and the issue that's happening with Cal. And hence the reason in coming out of this, we asked for such an urgent meeting with the various players because we need to get down to the bottom of this. And let's see if it's a systematic issue. Let us see if it's a finance issue. Let us see if it's a strategic issue. We want to know what is the real problem. I hinted in my mind that the real problem might be finance. Hence the reason why we want the central government to be there, because I somewhat think the real problem is finance.
Mm-hmm. And viewers, just so you know, the lines are going to be opened so that you can add your voice to the conversation. So the number to call is 284-6597. That is 284-6597. And we're going to leave the number up on the screen so that you can call in and add your voice to the conversation. I want to spend a little bit on the ferry. Now, certainly we need to thank the Inter-Island Ferry Service for being able to come into action so quickly to allow the passengers that were stranded on both islands to be able to get across. But we've been hearing the complaints that people are not being able to book ferry tickets in advance, sometimes more than a month. Is the chamber interested in this? Is the chamber looking into this matter at all?
Kandace, definitely we're looking into all issues in terms of transport between the two islands, especially in these times, which is our real money-making time, as we want to say. We have constant dialogue with the Port Authority. Kandace, when I say constant, I mean a day-to-day dialogue with the Port Authority. They're really working on their part, whether it's customer issues or other issues. The management of the port is really working on their part in helping us, especially at these times. We know that ticket booking have been a sore point, and it's something that they are looking into. But coming out from it with the additional sailing of the vessels, I know it's really going to put an ease on us moving between the island. Not neglecting the fact that we're not going to leave Cal alone. We need to fix Cal.
Certainly.
So the problem of the airbridge is not getting the ferry to I see a post where they put the Caribbean airline on the fast ferry.
Yes.
But that is not fixing the problem.
That's not
we
fixing
need
the
to
problem.
fix Cal problem. That's correct.
Certainly.
Definitely.
And we have a caller online. Good morning, caller, and welcome to you.
Yeah, morning. I've been listening to the matters with I can say, Airbridge and the Sea Bridge.
Yes.
And what is happening here is that Tobago business becomes no priority for anybody in Trinidad. None whatsoever. So that is not in the interest of anybody in Trinidad that Tobago business becomes a priority. Now, the amount of times the Tobagonian has to travel to Trinidad for business and for medical reasons. If Trinidadians was to come here, they would have call it normal language. They did break away from Tobago a long time because they wouldn't be coming here. But Tobago has to be going through this agonizing period. And I say quickly that one would say, and I've heard people saying it, that when you had a PNM THA and a PNM central government, things would have gone smoothly. But that is the biggest lie. Because when all persons in a house doing the same wrong thing, it goes smoothly. But when a man come in doing something right, then everybody is upset. And in Tobago, except the airline is managed from the THA, and except the airline is managed from the Sea Bridge is managed from the THA, Tobago will be going through this problem until Tobago gets its full autonomy. There is no way at all that Tobago can continue to develop being directed or dictated from Port of Spain. There isn't anybody down there who has Tobago interests at heart as a priority. Take, for example, quickly, deeds and a number of matters go down to Trinidad in a pile high as the sky, and nobody takes out Tobago deed and say, well, okay, this is from Tobago, do that. Whenever it comes up in the spin, it comes up if it ever comes up. And there's where we are. So we cannot continue like this. This island will never develop under any central government administration. Thank you much.
And thank you so much. And Mr. Williams, what say you? Do you think that just this political situation, and do you think that the THA should have even more voice on whether it's Caribbean Airlines or the management of Caribbean Airlines, the management of the Airbridge, and the management of the Sea Bridge than it currently does?
Kandace, I somewhat agree with the caller. We need we need an input into the operation of both the port and the Airbridge. The THA should have at least 2 representatives on each board so that they can ventilate the issues that affect the Tobagonian public on the various boards. I'm not sure where the Port Authority board is at the present moment. Also the CAL, the CAL board. So we really definitely need that input as we go forward. That's important.
All right, viewers, and the lines remain open, 284-6597, 284-6597. Lend your voice to the conversation and let us know, even what do you think we should do as a people, as an island, as people who are daily affected by the situation. So, I mean, even though, like I said, even though this situation where the pilots themselves taking action, it's somewhat isolated, but it doesn't take away from the fact that every day we face problems. Every day we are unable to get tickets when we want to, and so much is wasted. And Mr. Williams, tell me about, just the productivity that's affected by us spending or sleeping some nights in the airport.
Candice, we're losing a lot. You can imagine that your staff have to conduct business in Trinidad, and you're losing 4 or 5 hours in delay time, and then getting down. You might be late for your appointment, and then you probably have to overnight. It's an additional cost. So when you think you would have been a day run, it end up being a day and a half or maybe more. You have to find suitable accommodation, and those who don't have funds to find such accommodation have no choice but to sleep in that cold airport. It's not an easy thing, Candice. It's very, very difficult. Some of our students still travel to Trinidad for studies, and I've seen them overnighting there at the airport. Candice, is really, really difficult when you think about it. And so hence the reason why something got to be done. And we can't continue doing the same thing over and over. We have talked about this issue for the last umpteen years, and I sat here and seen nothing done. So I think this is the final straw. We need action. We need to get things done.
Now, one of the complaints coming out of yesterday, we had some people who, traveling to Trinidad to catch a connecting flight on Caribbean Airlines to elsewhere. And their complaint was that Caribbean Airlines would provide accommodation and so on for international passengers, but not if you're a resident of Trinidad and Tobago. And we know for people coming from Tobago going to Trinidad, thinking that it's supposed, well, planning it so that it's just a hop over, spend a few hours in Piaco, get on your flight to wherever your final destination is. But being caught in this issue, they now have to find your own accommodation because Caribbean Airlines policy does not apply to residents of Trinidad and Tobago.
You're correct. I witnessed it myself. I'm traveling abroad and we got delayed, and the delay went over a certain time frame, and they put us up at a hotel, give us a meal, etc., etc. So being domestic, because it's one country, that don't apply. At least some sort of communication. Kandace, is not what you do, it's how you do it. And if for some reason there's some disruption in the Airbridge, and we just the communication to the people at the airport would be suffice, would be good, instead of just having you just standing there, don't know what's going on. You don't have a representative of cargo to address you. Sometimes you don't have that. You sat there for hours, and then you probably had to ask someone or make a call somewhere or to read Facebook posts. But someone could address the Tobagonians or the folks traveling between the islands at the various airports and said, okay, this is the situation, and we are sorry for what happened, and we will give you priority next day. Because Kandace, sometimes you stay there overnight, and then next morning, they're telling you go on the line and pick numbers, You
Yes.
slept in the airport overnight, and nobody gonna say, well, because you slept here overnight, I'm gonna give you priority next day, or you didn't get through, I'm gonna give you priority next day, so you're gonna be probably number one or number two, as the case may be. Kandace, no, you gotta go and pick a number and wait. So, for instance, if you wake up late after sleeping, they don't care.
They don't care at all.
I
And
can
I've
see that
experienced
caring.
it. I've experienced it so many times that,
Yeah, that
they just, it doesn't matter. You've seen even
no.
people there, you've seen people that might have landed from a flight, by the time they clear customs and so on, it's definitely too late to make a connection flight over to Tobago. So they have to spend the night in the airport, sometimes with their children and so on. I mean, and they're not even given priority the next day.
No, next day nobody cares. And that's what that's one of the downfall with Caribbean Airline. And I'm asking Caribbean Airline if they can work on that customer service aspect of it. So I mean, we overnight, and with next morning you could say, okay, fine, I'll give you guys priority. Nothing like that, Kandace. It's in local language, dog eat dog. So there's no emphasis placed on that person who have to sleep in the airport overnight for the next morning. So that customer service, so we need Caribbean Airlines to put that customer service rep on the ground, speaking to the passengers that have been affected, and to at least give us some sort of comfort. Yes, you might be able to compensate me because I may be traveling from south to come all the way up to Piaco to get this flight across to Tobago, but then I may have to go back south, or I may have to go by a friend, or what the case may be, but at least some kind of compassionate, something of that sort. There's nothing like that. It's raw. Nobody answers you. You have to be asking questions, and you go into the rep and them from some Swissport, and that's it. But we want to see a Caribbean Airline rep. We want to see someone in Caribbean Airline uniform speaking to the people, telling them what's happening, and assuring them that, okay, next day we'll see how best we can facilitate you. This is your number. Hold this card or something, or hold this number. That next morning we will have facilitate you. With some sort of urgency. Nothing like that, Kandace. It's salt. It's salt. Nothing.
Now, Mr. Williams, what about the idea of having additional airlines operating the Airbridge? Do you think it's time that we really consider opening it up to some competition just to make it easier? Because I still remember the days of Air Caribbean, and it seemed as though Air Caribbean handled the Airbridge a lot smoother back then than what Caribbean Airlines has been giving us for the last couple decades.
And Liat used to fly as well too. Not only Caribbean Airline, Liat used to fly. I remember going on Liat
Yes.
and flying. Kandace, there may be some technicalities that will have to be worked out if that need to happen, and hence the reason why in our conversation with these players, especially the Ministry of Works, Ministry of Finance, we can find out what are the technicalities, and we can get these things sorted out if they ought to be sorted out. But we can't sit here and think what's happening on that end. So hence the reason why I want the players, Caribbean Airline, the ministry folks, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Finance, the THA, to meet with the stakeholders, sit around a round table, and let's discuss the challenges we face today and how the way forward and how we can really fix these things, because it's not looking good. Tobago depends on that air bridge and the sea bridge, and we need to really get this thing seamless. It's time, Kandace. We have been bantering this point over and over and over. You will do numerous interviews with different stakeholders in the space, and there will be nothing will solve unless some serious action take place. So we are appealing to all the players. Let's meet and get this thing sorted out.
Do you have a date or a time for that special meeting? Are you throwing it out there at all?
I'm throwing it out there. I know budget time is coming up, so I know the Ministry of Finance will be very, very busy getting things together. The Prime Minister is out the country, but I'm throwing it out there for the players. We are ready when you're ready. We at the Chamber Trinidad Tobago Division, we are ready when you guys ready. Just tell us the time. We want to throw the invitation out in a written format to the various ministries and Carl, and we definitely will want to meet when you guys are ready. But we want this thing to be done as soon as possible.
All right. I want to thank you so much, Mr. Williams. I know you spent a whole hour with us, and I want to thank you so much for taking some time with us, because this is so important. It's such an important discussion. I mean, and I'm really hoping that the authorities in Trinidad get the message, because you've been listening to them over the years, and you hear some of the comments that are coming from the politicians in Trinidad, and you really wonder if they're just not paying attention to the daily struggles, because it's not like it has not been said. It has been said from many, many different platforms, from many different stakeholder groups. But it seems as though like there is either maybe a stubbornness to understand the Tobago struggle.
And you're right. And then, Candice, you knew some of them were here during the Great Race period. So they get affected too. So they get a pinch of what we do.
A pinch.
Have experience, what we definitely experience on a daily basis, Candice. So I'm really looking forward to that meeting of the stakeholders as we go forward. And thanks again, Candice.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Williams. Well, viewers, we are coming towards the end of the program, but I just want to throw it out to you. I mean, this is a time for you to speak out in whatever form that you choose, because this is a situation that really affects us. Whether or not the government is listening, I really sometimes wonder if they do pay attention, if they do care, because the last time they did anything about Caribbean Airlines, they raised the airfare. They also put a change fee on for us, but they have not fixed the real issues. They told us that our change fee that they instituted back in 2019 thereabouts would improve the way that we travel, but it has not happened. They said that they need more money, which is why they increased the airfare, and that didn't change. So viewers, I just want to say that let's see if the government would listen at this point in time. I mean, naturally, the pilots, they need their extra money because they are the ones that are flying the planes. They need to be properly compensated, but the Airbridge needs to be properly serviced at the same time. So I want to thank you so much for being on with us. It was a pleasure, but whatever you do, have a safe and wonderful day, and we will see you again tomorrow.